What's going on, guys? Junior's Fishing Company with another deer hair video. So I've got this older 6 cent swim jig that I've really loved. I've caught a ton of fish on this and I've really liked this kind of color pattern, and so I'm going to do pretty much the exact same thing. This is almost the exact same jig except for the eyes are different. I don't know if 6 cents changed or I ordered different ones. I really don't know. So I'm going to, instead of tying like a schlappen or a rooster tail, I'm going to tie actually a Pacchiarini fish tail, and I've got a hairline bling tail connector kit. So between these two, I've already done it just to save time on this video. Just a little tail. I've never used these. If you love them or hate them, leave a comment below. I've never used these before. I colored this one with a little bit of olive. I ordered these. This is actually XL, and I ordered some double XL just in white. I don't know why I ordered yellow. I don't know. That was a bad decision by me, but I colored it olive, and I noticed right away it was really bleeding through a lot. And so I actually, when I was coloring it, I would just press it down on this piece of paper just to get some of that color out, and then I soaked it in water for like 15 minutes, and it actually turned the water decently green. And then I let it dry, so I think this stuff is pretty set in there. This is definitely not the prettiest little thing I've ever done, but I didn't want it just to be that little yellow, so this is what you get. So I'm gonna put this on. I would love to put a rattle on here. I really like to put rattles on my swim jigs, but I don't want this to get in the way of my tail. I don't want a rattle to get in the way of my tail. So I'm gonna go rattleless. I'm gonna tie this in first, and then I'm gonna put down 3 stacks of bucktail, and then I have some bronze holographic Flashabou. The colors of deer tail I'm using is brown olive. It's a nice brown olive tail except for the bottom. I don't know what happened to the bottom. Brown olive. This is saffron orange, kind of a messed up tail. I don't know what the deer was thinking, but saffron orange, just like a really dark orange. I can't remember what this one is. Ginger, I think. I think this is ginger. These are all Musky Fool. Ginger, really good tail. This thing is like, this is the thickest tail I've ever had. And then just some olive, dark olive. I think this might be dark olive, I think. But so 4 colors. I blended these 4 together, and it's going to be 3 stacks, and I'm going to get thicker as I go up. But what I want to do first is I want to put this tail in. Now, I've never done these before, and so I really don't know. If you know, let me know. If I tie this in on top, this is on a swivel, this connector kit, so I really don't think it's going to matter at all where I tie this. So I'm just going to, out of habit of doing, you know, articulations and stuff, I always start on the top, so I'm just going to tie this in on top. I've got this, I've already cut this, and I'm going to push it right up to my lead, and this tail should go to about 6 inches, and I'm not going to put my hair, obviously, that far back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this tied down just on the way up, and then come back down, and I'm going to put down some super glue. Now, you don't need to, like, really ream this thing down. There's not going to really be any pressure on this connector other than when you're casting it. So I can't imagine that I'm going to need, like when you do in some of the other videos I've posted, big articulated musky jigs and stuff, you want that articulation very secure, and you want to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. This is going to pop off again. I apologize. Hopefully not many times. But you want that connection to be super secure. But this, it's like, I mean, I'm just going to be casting it. So I'm really not all that worried about getting it like crazy on there. So that's as much as I'm going to do. And I guess with the little spring that this comes with, I can just push all of this up. So I want to leave some room. If I push this up, these little connectors are kind of just like, I don't know if you can see it, I don't want to take the time to take it out. They're just like, kind of like shanks. And so these tails are interchangeable. I don't foresee me being on the water and changing a tail instead of just changing my whole jig. I don't really foresee that in the future, but it is nice to make sure. I'm going to keep it so I can change it if I want, but it's not like I'm going to have a bunch of these tails sitting in a box in my boat, switching them a bunch. So 3 stacks of deer hair and some flash. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to put 2 down here, and then where the skirt would go, I've got a nice healthy clump of hair. This first one I'm going to put in, I'm going to try and keep my tail. I just want to remember where it's going to go. It's about halfway down of my brass, and so I want this hair to go, I want it to cover some of the tail, just so I can cover that connection between the tail and that swivel, but I don't want to cover a ton. So I'm just going to maybe go down to here, and this is a tapered, obviously deer hair is going to be tapered. This is really tapered. There's a few that are going down there, but again, I don't know how much this is going to like impede on the ability for that tail to kick. I don't know how well it's going to kick. I saw these and I thought, well, I'll give it a go. Might as well. It's just something I've never done, and I like mixing things up a little bit. And so I'll get this pushed all the way around of my jig, and I'm just going to be super careful trying not to hit that hair clip again, because you don't want to sit here and watch a video and watch me finagle that clip 2 dozen times. Usually when I'm alone, I'll tie a little bit quicker and I'll let it fly. But while I'm tying this, I just want to, so I sent out, if this is your first time seeing these tying videos, go to Junior's Fishing Company YouTube channel page, the homepage. I have a little, I don't know if you'd call it a survey, a community post, I think they're called. And I just, I've uploaded enough videos now where I'm starting to ask you guys what you'd want to see. And so feel free to click one of the things you'd like to see. If you click other, then drop a comment or something like that and let me know specifically what you want to see. Alright, so I'm working my way up. That first deer hair was super thin because I want to make it thicker as I go. I don't want this tail is going to be tiny, and I don't want it to be a really bulky bait to here. I want it to be really thin, and if it gets thicker anywhere, it should be by the head. So I've got my second little clump of deer hair, and then I'll put down a little bit of that flash. I ordered some brown and like maroon holographic Flashabou, and I can barely even tell the difference. They're like crazy similar. So if I get them mixed up, you're not going to be able to tell anyway. So never mind, I'm always right. So I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to take some of these super long ones out, and I'll get that laid. I want to go just a little bit shorter than that other one. Not too much shorter though. Get it trimmed up, and I cut my thread on this sharp. I had to take that bait keeper off, and so I'm just going to do some security wraps over it just so I don't cut my thread, and then I can cord it up, keep that tail out of the way. And then I'm going to get this laid down right before that lead bump. I'll get that spun around. There really won't be much flare in any of this. Maybe some in this one. There should be plenty in that last one I put down. And I can get this moved around my hook. Then I can kind of see if there's going to be any. There really shouldn't be though, because I don't need a ton of flare. This isn't one of those big flary walleye jigs that sometimes I'll do, but this is more, it's all going to mat down anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this down, and I have a nice little thread base now, and I'm going to actually just take a little razor blade and I'm just going to trim this deer hair off of here, just because I don't want this deer hair to keep, and it won't because it's not as much as I thought it was going to be. I just don't want it to impact what I put up by the head. So I've got a nice healthy clump of this Flashabou, holographic Flashabou, I guess. And I don't want it to go super far into that tail, because I don't want anything to affect how that tail is going to swim. Taper this out just a little bit more. I have a pretty healthy clump of this. Maybe I'll take a little bit out. Just a couple out. Because I want a little bit of flash in here. Maybe just go like right here. And I'm going to put this on top. Get that one that I missed. And I can just push it around. This will be the bottom of my bait. Get that tied off. 2 decent tight wraps. And then I'm going to just come up here. I'm going to trim all this off. And then I'm going to put it down on the other side. This is where it starts to get a little tricky because I'm messing around with that hair clip too. So this is, if I'm going to knock it off anywhere, it'll be in the next few minutes, but just bear with me. So that looks decent. Couple tight wraps. Then I'm actually going to put a little bit of super glue on this, because this is just slippery stuff and I don't want any of this to slowly get knocked off. So I'll put some super glue down here and I'm going to let it dry and we'll finish this off. Alright, so we're ready for this last stack, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it actually not crazy short, but I'm going to put it so it comes down, that tinsel kind of lays down that hair, and I'm going to go to about right here. But what I want to do is I'm not going to trim all this off super close. I'm going to leave a decent amount. I'm actually gonna cord up my thread. If you've seen these videos, I know I sound like a broken record. I'm gonna put it a little bit on my head and just I'm trying to avoid that hair clip. I'm gonna come down as tight as I can to my head. Then I can spin it around. And this is a pretty healthy dollop of hair. Get this pushed around. Vodka always helps. Get it all the way around. Then I can add, if there's going to be any, this is where I'm going to put some of my flare from my hair once I see that I've got it on decently even. This hair likes to spin. When you put this much on, it likes to move on you, so you got to be careful. So I'll get just a little bit of flare out of there. Not too worried about having too much. and it'll get trapped by the hook and stuff too. And you can always just kind of pull at it too to get more if you want it. Not really worried about it. What I really don't want is to work this way, because I want a small collar, and every wrap I do back is just going to add more to my collar. So I'm going to do tight wraps up toward my head. There goes that. That's alright. Up towards my head. And I chose white thread. I've got some olive, but I really want to be able to see where my thread is and where my hair is, because when I trim this off, I don't want to accidentally hit my thread. I might actually end up putting a little red collar on there, but I have enough tight wraps on there now where I'm going to take my razor blade, I'm going to trim off that hair. Alright, finished bait, little olivey orange. I put that orange in to match this head, but a bluegill-ish type pattern. I really wish I had a different colored tail. I have a couple other darker green markers. Maybe I'll fiddle around with it, but I really don't. I mean, I like this green, but it doesn't really match this bait very well, but that's alright. I'm excited to see how these tails swim. Again, if you haven't checked out the channel, Junior's Fishing Company, like and subscribe, leave comments, things you want to see. I'm going to start trying to put some stuff on the community tab just to kind of get a little bit more going. But appreciate the time. If you're a first time watcher, appreciate it. Long time watchers, I really appreciate you guys. More to come. Little bass jig. I like it. See you on the next one.